What's up, guys? Christian Van Buren here. I'm the co-founder of Ripple Effect Fatherhood. For those of you who follow our channel, I know it's been a while since we posted. I think it's been about a month, and we've been busy with some things. We're going through a period of transition, and of course, we're enjoying it. However, we are working on some new things with the podcast and our organization, Ripple Effect Fatherhood. So there are new things to come. However, I definitely wanted to get on here and share this important message with all of my new parents, new fathers, whoever, because we just had a scare with Kylan, and I think it's important that I share this with as many people as possible, so that one, you can prepare yourself, and two, uh, what is happening with your child, if he or she goes through what Kylan went through. So uh, before I dive into that, I want to say thank you for everybody who supports our channel, everybody who supports our organization and our movement. Your support definitely means a lot to us, and it goes a long way. We're looking forward to what we will be doing in the future. But we are taking this thing one step at a time, and just trying to impact as many people as possible along the way. So thank you. And last thing I want to say is, please make sure you share this with as many people as possible, especially new parents, just because it's something that we weren't prepared for, because we didn't know about it, never heard of it. And so I just want to make sure that everybody out there, especially new parents, are knowledgeable of this thing called breath holding spells. So I hope you guys enjoy. And like I said, please share, because you never know whose life it could impact in a positive way. So a couple of days ago, we were giving Kylan a bath like normal. Everything was good. Kylan's got this little seat that sits in his bath, and you can lock it in. You can sit there and just hang out while we give him a bath, right? And we've been doing this for so long. We usually have no issues. Here's the thing. Kylan has my temper. So when I take him out of the bath, the last thing he wants is to be put back in the bath. The other night, he made a little mess in the bath, and all my parents kind of know what I'm talking about when I say that. All right. And so what happened was, I needed to take him out of the bath in order to clean up his little mess. And then I was like, all right, well, now that you made that mess, I gotta give you another bath. I was putting him back into his little bathtub seat. Like I said before, he has my temper. So he's a strong little guy too. For those of you that know him, he's a strong little guy. I'm putting him back in the bath, and immediately he gets upset. Right, immediately he starts whining, and he's fighting me, like he's stretching his legs out so I can't seat him into the bathtub seat. And so I'm trying to, you know, put him in a L shape. You know what I mean? Is that an L shape? Close enough. Put him in an L shape so I can slide him into the seat. And he's the whole time just keeping his body as stiff as possible. Here's the issue with that. For one, his whole body is tense, right? Because he's trying to fight me to not get put back into the little bath seat. The second thing is, Kylan, whenever he gets upset, he has a tendency to, to have this. If he gets really upset, really frustrated, he has this long pause that he'll do before he'll cry. So like, and most of you guys who have babies, your child does this too. They'll open their mouth real wide, and then they'll pause for like a couple seconds, and then that cry lets out, right? And he's done this multiple times, where he, gets really upset about something, or he hurts himself, and then, he'll have that long pause, and then the cry lets out. I'm holding him, and I'm looking down at his feet to try and get his feet into the holes. His body's stiff, and he starts to open his mouth and does that little pre-cry where I can hear him crying, and he's doing the exhale before the big cry comes. And then Maddie, my wife, I notice she has a reaction to his reaction. A second later, he goes limp in my arms, and his eyes roll back. His head goes down, and instantly I'm confused. All right. But that caught both of us way off guard. My immediate reaction was to take him, and I picked him up, and I put him up against my shoulder, to just figure out what was going on. And then it lasted like, just a couple seconds. And then I started to hear him cry. And so that was, up to this point, one of the scariest moments of my life, because as a new father, and it's my first time doing this, never been in this kind of situation. And so it just caught me off guard. Anyway, we did research afterwards, and then we took him to the doctor the next day and figured out what exactly it was. Here's the part that, if you're still watching and you're still listening, I hope you take this part in and share it with anybody that could benefit. There's this thing called breath holding spells. Okay. So I'm just going to share a little bit of information with you guys that we got from the doctor. I'll make sure to include the link to the website where you can read exactly what I'm reading from, and I'll include whatever sources that this link includes for anybody to have more information that they need. Basically, a breath holding spell occurs when a child is suddenly injured, frustrated, or angry or frightened. Right? They make one or two cries and then they hold their breath, right, in expiration until he or she becomes blue around the lips and passes out. So that's basically what happened to Kylan. It also says here that most children will stiffen and some will have a few twitches or muscle jerks. All right. And then, after a few seconds or less than a minute, the child breathes normally again and becomes fully alert. So definitely some signs to look out for if you're a new parent. Also, something to kind of be aware of. It says here that this really is something that can occur and or has occurred in less than 5% or up to 5% of children. So it's not common. However, it could happen to you and it could happen to your child. So I just want to make sure that you guys are prepared. Something that is essential that I want to make sure you guys notate. It says here that most children do not do this deliberately, right? So when they hold their breath long enough to pass out of frustration, out of anger, out of injury, understand that it's more than likely that they're not doing this to get attention, or they're not doing this deliberately. That's something that I definitely want to make sure that is put out there and that most parents know, because obviously all parents have been through their child's temper tantrums and so on. But this is something that, like I said, we experienced a couple nights ago, and it was very serious for us. All right, so a couple things to notate real quick. During an attack, or an episode like this, make sure you don't hold your child upright, right? Like I told you guys before, my first reaction was to put him on my shoulder, because I never heard of this, never heard of breathing or breath holding spells before. I never been in a situation with a baby. And I was like, my first reaction was to just put him on my shoulder because he passed out. And I'm like, why and what's going on? But that's not the right answer. So don't do what I did. Okay. It says he or she should lie flat. Right. This is gonna increase blood flow to the brain and prevent some of that muscle jerking. Also, something else that you could do is put a wet cloth on their forehead until he or she starts breathing again. Okay. Make sure that you don't start to resuscitate or call a rescue squad, unless it's lasted more than a minute. Then you should do something that like that. But if this is an episode where the child has held their breath long enough to pass out due to frustration, anger, or injury, it says here that you probably don't want to resuscitate and call a rescue squad because it's not completely necessary. Usually after a few seconds, the child will regain consciousness and everything will be normal, just like Kylan did. All right. And it also says don't put anything in your child's mouth because it can make he or she choke or vomit. And one thing that we did especially was, as soon as he regained consciousness, we just hugged him and we just loved on him. We didn't know if he knew what happened. We didn't know what happened ourselves. We just were glad that he was breathing, and I mean, he was crying, but hey, I preferred that over him passing out. Okay. But it says here to keep a relaxed attitude about it. Once they come back and they regain their consciousness, just kind of keep a relaxed attitude. Try not to be too frantic or scared, because you could scare them. And obviously, you don't want to further complicate things from that point. Another important thing to notate is injuries. Okay, so the main injury that it says here from breath holding spells is a head injury, right? Because when they pass out, obviously they lose consciousness, they could fall and hit their head. So if your child starts to have an attack while standing near a hard surface, go to him or her quickly and help lower them to the floor. All right, and then the last bits and pieces of information that I want to extend to everybody who can benefit from it is also from my resource here. And it says to call your child's physician during office hours if more than one spell happens a week. If the attacks change, I don't know exactly what that means, but if you notice just something different, it's not just, they pass out for a couple seconds and they come back. Maybe they pass out for longer and then they come back, or just something changes. Maybe they shake, maybe they jerk. Just you'll know as a parent, you'll know. So all in all, guys, this is something very new to us. Breath holding spells. Never expected this to happen. Couldn't see it coming, really couldn't prevent it according to the resources. It's something that's not really preventable, and it's something that the kids don't do deliberately. They can't control it. So the best thing that we can do is just be prepared for if it were to happen to you or your child, and what to do when it does. All right. So I hope this has been beneficial to anybody listening. I'm excited to put more interviews out coming soon. Like I said, we're working on some stuff in the back office to get more consistent interviews and just get more positive content out there about fathers and fatherhood, because we need more of it. And I believe that the world and our society can benefit from the positive presence of fatherhood in the lives of everyone. So again, thank you for everyone who supports the channel, everyone who shares the content, and I'm excited to put more out there for you guys. As always, you guys know you can follow us on Instagram at re.fatherhood, Facebook Ripple Effect Fatherhood, and we have our podcasts on all podcasting platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, all that stuff. So share the content, share the positivity, and continue to do great things out there. As always, thank you for being here.